Alright everyone, here comes your first week, first lecture about rigs for characters, especially bipeds. But this lecture right here is a general type of lecture about bones and joint and kind of rigging them, put that together in a chain. Alright? Now, you must get away from the modeling and switch the modeling menu right here and switch to the rigging menu under it. It will open up a couple new menu that would be very important for us later on. Alright, this week we're gonna use the skeleton one. Next week we'll use the skin one. Alright, and the week after we'll use the constraint one. So you see they all have a logical pipeline to it. So let's look at bones and joint. To make your character moves, the process is fairly simple. Similar to a human, is that we create inside the character a bone and joint structure. That structure is then attached to the skin of the mesh, you are basically your faces, through a process called skinning. We do that next week. Alright? And then after that, we create a puppet system that is outside the mesh but connected to the rig, to the bones, using constraints. And when we move the puppet system, just like a real puppet with rope, we actually move our rig. It doesn't get deeper than that. Alright? When the rig moves, because it's attached skin to the mesh, it will move the mesh. It doesn't get deeper than that. Okay, so let's look at a couple tools you're going to use this week. Alright, don't worry, you will not get the 3D connection menu. This is for my special mouse that is represented right here with the blue little sphere. Okay, it's a 3D mouse that let me rotate and do stuff without using my other mouse. It's really cool, and if you're interested, post on the forum. I'll be glad to show you where you get it and what it is exactly. It's very useful for 3D artists. One of the most useful thing I've ever bought, actually. It's on $60. $60, sorry. Now, you gotta be in your rigging menu, as I said, and the first thing to know is in skeleton is create joints. So you click on that, and now on your screen you create your joints. It is important to note that I do them right now in the perspective view because I do not have a mesh. But if you have a mesh, it is very hard to do it in perspective view, and I would not advise to do so. I would advise you to do it into the orthographic viewports, the three other ones. Alright? And that's how I do it always. Now, to make a bone structure like that, let me actually delete it. Let me get my options for undo back. I don't know what's going on. I've been having a problem with that. It keeps going away. By the way, save quite a bit in Maya because we are using Maya 16 now and not 15, though you're welcome to use 15, and I'll be glad to help you the same way because I know last class we used 15, but we have to move to 16. I had no choice. That's what I issue just put on my computer now, give me. So I'm with 16. That's what it gets down to it. Alright? And the problem with 16 is a little buggy when you save files and so forth. So make sure you save multiple times to ensure that it's okay. Alright, so you're right here. You want to make bones. You go to the skeleton, create on joints, and you click with your mouse, and click again to create another joint, another bone. It is important to note that the sphere that you see right there are called joints, and then the long pointy part are called bones, similar to us humans. Alright? The thing is that in Maya does not recognize the bones. It recognizes the joints only. The bones are just a visual thing to show you the way your rig is going, because it's very important the way it floats. Alright, this is always the parent as the thickest base, and the child of that parent at the thin base. That one is the parent of this one, and this one is the parent of this one, which that one is the parent of this one too. So this one right here is a child of all of them. So if I move this one or do anything with it, it'll go with it. But if I grab the middle one right here and move it, then only him and his child are moving. This is called a parent-child relationship. Alright? I don't know if you have kids, but it's pretty much like that how it works in our house. But a lot looser, obviously. I'm just making a joke, you guys. But yeah, the kids follow what the parents, ask them to do, usually. Now my kids are really good. So that's the principle itself. Now the problem is that if you don't place them perfectly when you actually click them perfectly in your mesh, you are gonna have the tendency to move them or rotate some of them to get them in better position. This is a big problem because at that moment Matt does not like that so much, and it will mess up his axis of orientation. Alright? Right now I'm okay because it's a simple really thing, but in your mesh it will probably mess it up. And then after that you have to use other tools right here, like the orient joint type of tool, alright, which never works well, and I never use that. I used to, but I don't do that anymore. It's just time consuming and it doesn't give the proper result at the end. So over the years I developed a technique that is a lot faster, a lot easier, and always give the perfect angle for orientation. It doesn't mess it up. Let me show you how it works. Instead of creating a joint by clicking and clicking and clicking every time to get the bones, what I do is that I create joints by just clicking once, clicking on enter, and then I do it again, clicking, I go right here and I gotta go to my create a joint right here, and I do that again, and I click on enter. Alright, if I do that again right here, and then I'm zooming in. Let me zoom out actually. Right here, that gives me 3 of them. Right, and you can see that's why I zoomed in. They are nice and round, and they give you the axis of the world: Y up, X red, and Z blue. Alright, now what do I do with that? Because that will not work, it's not connected, and so if I select one of them, it's not going to do anything on the others. Alright, that's very important to understand that. So basically, in reality, the previous way we done it by just clicking and clicking and clicking to get that, so we do it this way, alright, is really in reality a simple parenting hierarchy, parenting to child hierarchy. Let me show you a new tool you're going to use quite a bit. Right in the window, you are going to go into the hypergraph hierarchy right here, and you can see, let me move out, the joints right there. That's what I'm talking about, those right here. Alright, if I select that one, they all go with that one. If I select that one, its child goes with it, but not its parent. You know what I'm talking about? So the parent moves all the child, as usual, as we talked. So now for me, I just replace them after that perfectly. So I'll put the joints where they need to be, which is basically where it's going to bend, knee, elbow, thing like that, just like a real human. So I put it there, and just like I just did and showed you, and then I replace them properly until they are just perfectly placed. And then I do something simple. I select the parent, I select the child, and I click on P. Actually, sorry, the inverse. I select the child, I apologize. I select the parent, and I click on P. This is an error you will do quite often, actually, because constraining that we'll be using is similar to that, but it's inversed in the way you select. So the way I do it, better than that, is faster. Instead of selecting both of them, I just go into the hypergraph right here, select the joint I want the child, middle mouse click it, and drop it on the parent. And you have your joint. Now, like that, it is perfectly aligned for rotation. You will have no problem at all. The angle of rotation will always be perfect. And that's super important. Trust me on that. Nobody wants to have, like I call the dog leaping leg when he go pee, basically. Instead of going straight up, at the end he goes to the side. All right, and that happens quite a bit with the other systems. All right, so that's the main tool that you're going to use this week to do that. There are other tools right here that can be used, and we will look at those menus in another video, because I'm kind of limited with the time with YouTube anyway, and I don't want to confuse you guys. So that's the main thing you can do. You can also select them and click on delete to delete them. That will take them out. Okay, that's very important. So remember that trick. It's definitely worth it. And remember also those hypergraph. Right now this week we'll use only this one, but next week we'll use the other one as well. Actually in 2 weeks we'll use the other one as well. Okay, so don't hesitate to ask questions. This is it for the first tool and the main intro on rigging.